Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Olive Tree with me, Julia Fisher. Can there ever be peace in Israel between Jew and Arab? My guest today believes so. He is Dani Sayag, the Jewish pastor of a congregation on Mount Carmel, close to Haifa in northern Israel. The numbers of Jewish believers has risen in recent years, from just a few families in the 1950s to between 20 and 30,000 today. Their numbers may still be small, but they're gaining confidence and an ever deeper understanding of their biblical calling to be a light to the nations. So, is Israel sending missionaries to other nations? Dani takes up the story.
I believe that there is a call on the body of Messiah in Israel to be a blessing to the nations. We are so appreciate all of these years of the nation blessing Israel and continue to bless Israel. But we feel that the body here needs to step into their calling and to be a blessing to the nation. And I will make the difference because sometimes we can go to the nation, but it's more of, building relationship, raising finances. There's nothing bad in that, but what I mean going to the nation and to be a blessing, especially to go to places that you personally you will give from what you have, not expecting something to receive. And we see already example of young people going to Africa and reaching out with the gospel, helping in different ways, and not receiving material stuff back, but the spiritual gifting that they're receiving. So I believe that there is a call on our nation, and we will see it in the future as the Lord will open doors for us as a messianic to reach out to the nation with the gospel in a way that it's going to be sacrificially for us to be a blessing, even in a material way.
It's quite a shift in thinking, really, because, as you say, for many years, the nations have poured a lot of money and support and prayer into helping to build the congregations here. You're still, maybe 20, 30,000. It's still a relatively small number of people, but you're now prepared to send people out to the nations. You believe this is really, biblically, this is your calling.
Yes, definitely. In our congregation, it's something that we're praying. We are not yet there. But I believe in the future we will see it happening, that we will send people from our community to be a blessing in the nation. We did it in the past, but I will say that in the recent years the door wasn't open. We're not ready yet for something like that, but this is our calling. Some people sometimes say, "Oh, you need to focus on your people here in the land," and why you need to send people to the nation, but this is biblically. This is a calling that the word of the Lord will go out from Zion, and so we'll see what happens in the future.
It seems as though you're always stretched. You can never settle and just enjoy the moment.
Oh yeah, here, we are on the fast lane here in the land. You never know when a war is going to take place or something terrible. And your faith is being refined here all the time. And I will say that here in the land, you are hot or cold. You can't be in the middle. Your test is always being tested here. So if you believe in Yeshua, it will be shown in the army, it will be shown in school, it will be shown in where you work. And so I believe that as God is strengthening the body here, we will see more people rising up into their calling, even going to the nation.
Dani, what would you say to Christians in the West listening to this program who perhaps quite interested in Israel, maybe even would like to come and visit and see the land of the Bible, but why should they take an interest in what God is doing here and in what you've just been describing?
I will say that if you don't understand Israel, you are missing big part of your understanding of the Bible, and especially end time. It's like coming into a movie in the middle, and you're trying to figure out the story. So I think understanding Israel from the scripture, and I will encourage people, if they don't read the Old Testament or study it, study it. There is a lot of things that you can learn from the Old Testament. Actually, you will never understand fully the New Testament if you don't understand the Old Testament. So read more of the Old Testament and get to know some of the history of Israel. And if you can afford it, I would say you need at least to come one time to the land of Israel and just see what God is doing here. And to encourage you to go with groups that not only going to see the dead stones and the history, but come with groups that actually can connect to the local body here in the land, and you can understand what God is doing among the Jewish people and among the Arab people. Then you will get more clear understanding of what God is doing in Israel. And believe in the prophetic, because there is a lot of prophecy speaking about Israel. If you don't believe in the prophetic, you're going to miss a lot of things that's going to happen in the end time. And Israel have a big part in it.
How important as well is it that people come with an open heart and don't take sides? Because let's face it, there are many Christians who do take sides. And is that helpful?
Yeah, I would say that when you come or even think about Israel, don't think in a way that the Jews or the Arab, you need to look at them as one, because both of them need Yeshua. Both of them need salvation and encounter with God, and because we, at least many people that I know, this is the way we look at our people here. Everybody needs to get saved. It doesn't matter who, and we're going to preach the gospel to the Arab, we're going to preach the gospel to the Jew, whoever God brings to us. And it's beautiful, because this is exactly the way heaven is going to be. It's going to be people from every tribe, of every nation, every tongue. So if you don't like Jewish people, you will not like heaven. If you don't like Arab people, you will not like heaven, because this is the people that you're going to spend eternity with them. And this is exactly what we are supposed to do here. Reaching out to everyone. This is our calling.
As you've mentioned, you have Arab people and Jewish people in your congregation. You're also running a drug rehab program, Beit Nitzachon, where Jews and Arabs are living together. Some of those people then become really good friends. Just tell me some of the stories that are emerging from there.
Yeah, I can remember a few years that passed, but we had an Arab guy that was a drug addict, and he came to the program, but before he became a drug addict, he was really hating Jewish people. He actually threw stones on soldiers. And when he came to House of Victory, so they put him in a room with the two Jews, and he was so afraid, because he thought that the moment he will fall asleep, they were going to kill him. And so he didn't sleep all night. And so when he was going through a withdrawal, these two Jews who also were drug addicts but had an encounter with Yeshua came to him and prayed for him. So he was in shock that a Jew will pray for him. And suddenly all this hatred start coming down from his heart, and as he discovered Yeshua as Messiah, and they became such a good friends. And we see it happening in the house where Yeshua taking this hatred and people start looking at each other through the scripture, through the love of Yeshua, and it's amazing to see. This is, you will not hear this in CNN or BBC or whatever. God is making the two that were enemy to one in Yeshua, and it's only happening through the cross, the message of the cross, through the love of Yeshua.
Some people would say, did God make a big mistake bringing the Jewish people back at such a time in history as this, when the land has got two peoples?
God never make mistake. He knows exactly what he's doing, and the timing is perfect. And I believe that as a nation, as Jewish people, that God called us to be a blessing to the nation. He also calling us to be a blessing to the Arab people here in the land. So I believe that, it says in Romans 11 that he described Israel as an olive tree, and the Gentile is a wild olive branch that was connected to the olive tree. So I believe that when the Arab people come into faith, they are connected to the olive tree, and the blessing that God has for the Jewish people, for his covenant people, is flowing to each one of them. So I believe God brought us in perfect time, and as he's going to move in our nation, he's going to bless the people here and around us.
You've been listening to Dani Sayag, the pastor of a congregation in northern Israel. The Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund is a Christian charity based in the UK that supports the needs of both Jewish believers and Arab or Palestinian Christians living in Israel and the wider Middle East. If you'd like to know more about our work through our bi-monthly newsletter, including news about our upcoming tours, please either visit our website www.olivetreefund.org or write to me, Julia Fisher, OTRF, PO Box 402, Billingshurst, RH14 4BQ in the UK. Meanwhile, join me at the same time next week for another story from the olive tree. Until then, goodbye.